Hello, Brew Crew. I'm Opie, and welcome back to my Brew City Garden. It's been almost 2 weeks since my last video, my last update. And in those 2 weeks, we have had so much rain. It's been unbelievable. I'd say we've had up to 15 inches of rain. It's been nonstop. It got down into the 40s last week, and now today, it's 90 plus degrees. I don't know. But we got a lot of catching up to do. I've got to get my spring planting done and my summer sowing done. We got a lot of work to do over the next 3 days. Luckily, it's Memorial Day weekend. I've got a little bit of time on my hands, but man, I got a lot of work to do. I want to show you guys a few tricks on planting technique, especially using the straw bales. I want to show you how to sow carrots and other seeds on the tops of the bales so that they don't fall in. And I want to show you how to plant some of your larger seeds where you actually push them into the bales. Got a lot of tips and tricks, and boy, do I got a lot of work to do. So let's get started. All right, guys, like I said before, it's Memorial Day weekend, and I am super late in getting my carrots planted, or anything for that matter. So I need to get my carrots in. I got some transplants I've got sitting out to be hardened off right now. I haven't even had a chance to do that. I'm gonna have to get everything planted this weekend, so I might end up with some sun scald. Hopefully I don't lose any, but you know, sometimes that's just how it goes. But anyway, as far as getting smaller seeds planted in your bales, what you'll want to do is put just a thin layer of soil of some sort. This can be compost, can be potting soil, seed starting mix. Really doesn't matter. You just want something to keep the seeds from falling into the bales. Which a lot of times, I mean, you could get away with not using the potting mix or soil. I just seem to have a little better luck when I do use it. So what I'm using today, it's just a standard potting mix. It's nothing special. And what I'm gonna do is just spread a very thin layer on the bale. Just enough to kind of fill those little holes and crevices. Just kind of work it in a little bit. What this is going to do, like I said, is going to keep the seeds from falling down too far into the bales and getting lost. And it's also going to help retain some moisture, because the moisture on the edge of these bales, around the outside layer of these bales, isn't great. So I'll just have to make sure that I keep an eye on the moisture level, make sure it stays wet. I'll come back with the hose regularly and just spray it down lightly just to make sure it stays moist. Okay, so now that I've got my layer of soil on, I can grab my seeds. I'm gonna start with these Royal Chantenay from M.I. Gardner. Now, I'm in no way associated with M.I. Gardner. He is a fellow YouTuber, very good one at that. And he's got his own seed store. And I really recommend using M.I. Gardner seeds because, for one, the price, you can't be beat. It's $1 a pack for seeds plus shipping, and he runs a couple specials a year, him and his wife. And the amount of seeds that come in a pack are better than you would find at a typical store or other name brands. And as I said, the price is just fantastic. I'm just gonna sprinkle these carrot seeds in. No real uniform order. I don't use a seeder or anything like that. I'm just kind of a trouble-free gardener. I just go for it. A lot of times I won't even really thin my seeds or thin my carrots, and I usually get a pretty good harvest. So, you know, this isn't rocket science, guys. It's pretty easy stuff here. So I've got my carrot seeds laid on top of this soil, and I'm just going to come back with a little more soil. And cover those seeds up. just nice and light. You see, I only used a few handfuls of potting mix altogether, so you really don't have to go crazy with this. We're just using it more as of a tool than anything, just to keep our seeds in place. All right, now let's get it watered in. I'm just going to use the finest setting so that I don't disturb the seeds too much. So just a nice light. And that's all there is to it. Now there's one other trick, especially with carrot seeds, that's going to increase your germination rate tenfold. Let me show you, and it's super easy. That's it. Just lay a board or something on top of these seeds for about a week. Come out every day, lift it up, take a look. Once you start seeing those little green sprouts, you can remove the board or whatever it is you're using to cover your seeds. And that could be anything from plastic wrap, any scrap you have laying around the house. Who knows, whatever you got. And I guarantee you, it's gonna help tremendously. Give it a try. So I just noticed something, and it reminded me of something that I need to bring to your attention. Most of the time, after you've seasoned your bales and everything's said and done, you'll start to see mushrooms form in your bales. Now sometimes it's just a few, such as these, and other times you'll have gobs of them. Your bales will be covered in mushrooms. Now don't be alarmed. It's a natural thing, and it's actually a good thing. It shows that your bales have composted sufficiently inside. They can be a little annoying. They can push your seeds out of the way. Sometimes when these inky caps lay on the leaves of vegetation, it'll kind of kill them off a little bit. This does go away. You might have mushrooms for a couple of weeks. If you live in the south, it may be a little bit longer. That can be a little bit of an annoyance, but to be honest, they're harmless. Usually they're not poisonous. I usually get these inky mica caps, which really, they're just annoying more than anything else. You can see a bunch of them getting ready to come up here. These heads, you can see that, yeah, see them forming here. And those will come up tomorrow morning, and they'll be just as tall as those were. And they dry up just like that. Those came up this morning, now they're dried up and they're gone. So don't be alarmed if you find mushrooms. It's a good thing. Might be a little annoying, but it shows that you really did your job in conditioning the bales and everything is going as it should. All right, now I really like carrots. The whole family eats them. So I'm gonna plant carrots on the edge of almost every one of these bales. All right, let's do it. Good Lord Almighty, guys. It is hot out here today. Man. Well, I got all my carrots planted, a couple hundred of them. I just lined the outside edge of the bales along the top, and they'll grow well with pretty much anything else that I plant in there, whether it be tomatoes or whatever. It doesn't matter. Carrots they're pretty friendly to other plants as far as that's concerned. They'll grow fairly well. The only thing I have left to do is get them covered, and like I said, it will come back every day. Probably it'll take 7 to 10 days. You'll start seeing little green carrot sprouts, and at that point you can remove the covering and just water regularly. Make sure it stays moist. I've never had any problems doing it this way. It's my third year doing it, and we had, especially last year, just a phenomenal harvest. I've still got carrots in the freezer that we haven't eaten yet, so we'll have more than we can eat, and put some up for the winter. So I'm glad that's done. Getting out of the sun for a minute, having a cold drink of water. As much as I don't want to go back out there, I got to get my potatoes in the ground. I know, it's way too late to plant potatoes, right? Well, let's just figure 5 weeks ago, I had 6 inches of snow on the ground. The last 2 weeks, we've had temperatures in the 40s and nonstop rain. If I had put my potatoes in the ground, they would have rotted by now. So it's better late than never, and I'm sure I'll still get a decent harvest as long as fall doesn't come early. You never know what's going to happen, but it's worth a try. So let's go get them potatoes put in right after a cold drink of water. Okay, so it's time to get my seed potatoes in the ground. If I don't do it today, I probably won't be able to do it all year. I got 3 different varieties here. I got the Yukon Golds, the Kennebec Whites, and some Pontiac Reds. I did cut these a couple days ago, let them callus up a little bit. I've never done this before, so I wonder if there's any difference between just putting whole potatoes in and putting cut potatoes. I'm gonna find out this year. I'm gonna put these, since they're low-lying plants on the south side of the garden, or the far end of the back garden here, and leave this north side open for some taller plants. That way everything gets sun, the appropriate sun. So let's get these things in the ground before it's too late. Let's start with the Pontiac Red on the far end. Okay guys, the potatoes are in the ground. All I have to do now is add a balanced fertilizer and water these in. I've had a pretty productive day. I hiked about 4 miles in the woods this morning, came home, did a bunch of garden work. I'm beat, I'm tired. But make sure you come back tomorrow because there's going to be plenty more to learn here at Brew City Garden. Alright guys, we'll see you.